some expertise in restoration of old buildings, particularly log cabins, to come in and take an assessment of the cabin itself and to give us recommendations on how to move forward, what needed to be done immediately, what things could be done in the near future, and what things we could do as a long-term planning for continued maintenance. So we had a fella come, and he's from Lexington. His name is Thomas McDowell, and he's an architect. And he came and spent the day with us here, took lots of photos. We end up having a very large report. The first few pages, though, are just a summary of what he did here. Some of the immediate recommendations that he had were to design and install a roof drainage system using certain types of gutters and downspouts, to install step flashing around the locations, particularly around the kitchen and the rear cabin wall, and to replace the roof with appropriate materials. He recommended an Alaskan yellow cedar. We're going to have to depend on others to tell me about that one. And to remove all the wooden debris in the crawl space and install a vapor barrier up at the top of the building. I want to tell you that he was so pleased to have come and spent time there. He was fascinated. He was fascinated by the story. He was enthralled with the building. I think he'll come back anyway, even if he doesn't come back to work anymore. I think he'll come back to visit. He brought his wife along so that she could spend the day with us too. They have some other recommendations later on to replace some of the wood material, to use some epoxy on some of the logs that have some damage on them, and to use a wood preservative. And he's also given us some information about what kind of wood preservative to use. And then to look at how to control the humidity. Y'all have lived here, you all have family here. Humidity is an issue here in southeast Kentucky, and moisture is an issue here. So he took readings throughout the cabin in different logs, different places in the cabin, and he was able to give us those readings so that we kind of knew where we were at with that. So one of the things he recommended was to install a ventilation system, and he suggested, in order to do that, to place it somehow in the fireplace, so that when the moisture got to a certain level, it would kick in. We haven't quite figured out how to do that, but they're great suggestions, and we can definitely do that. Bob, I'm going to let you just tell a little bit about what the locations that we've been in.
Good afternoon. I was going to ask that you are working up every single day. So.
Yeah, this is more experience.
After Carrie commissioned this assessment, we evaluated it. We took a look at some of the things that we could do that were low cost, that would have an immediate impact on the cabin, to help preserve it, help stop some of the damage, especially on the logs and on the right-hand side as you get near the kitchen. So one of the first things we did is we went ahead and we replaced the porch roof that's where it's been leaking and it's been destroying the decking below and the logs on the side. So we replaced that with oak shake shingles. And then we also went ahead and we put ice melt underneath that, and we followed the directions by putting a layer of felt under each row of shingles too. So there's a double protection in place for future water damage. We also looked at the sides where the logs are damaged. And that's where we found the wood epoxy, which we could use on some of that to go ahead and seal that damage, prevent any further damage taking place. Also, if you go into the cabin, you see a woodpecker this year had a feast on one of the logs. And we were able to use that wood epoxy on that too, go ahead and seal that up and repair that. And then there's a chemical called Boracare that you recommended, and then basically we use it on the entire exterior of the cabin, the roof, the walls, everything. And it seals the wood from moisture, from insects, from existing rot, let alone future rot, and it's something that we would apply on like a 10-year basis, so we maintain the exterior of the cabin and prevent that rot from taking place. So those are the things that we saw that we could do right away, along with fixing some of the deck boards there, getting rid of the excess lumber that's sitting in there, which attracts things you don't want and causes damage. So we've done those things. And the other thing I just did yesterday is if you go there, there's some additional flashing I put up on the side of the roof there where we did the repairs. And And that's because that log has significant damage to it. And it's actually, there's a hole that if you stand on the street, you can look through the upstairs and out the upstairs window. And we want to seal that for the time being until we get the right material to go repair that log. So that's why that's there right now. But it's sealed it off from any future water damage. So our next step is to take a look at how we can repair those logs. And we also have an individual who works for the state of Kentucky, and his job is to repair the log buildings at all the state parks. And he lives in London, so he's a local person. So we're going to talk to him about a couple of logs over here to see if it's something that together we can work on it and do the repairs, but be fiscally responsible to price and to ask your family to go ahead and work on that cabin or get back into your institution.
Wow, I don't have that. My voice would be I'm by training, I'm a mental health therapist. So I totally employed person more than I talk. So thank you, Bob, for that. And thanks for all the work that the work camps have done this year. So I also wanted to tell you that we also installed a security camera that goes directly out the cabinet. So the reports know what's going on there. We don't know what's in there, should be in there. We haven't seen any kind of problems whatsoever. It's just another measure that keeps the cabinet secure. So are there any questions or any comments that anyone has or wants to make? Yes?
I just want to say I'm really pleased with this. Thank you. It just sounds wonderful.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Anyone else? Well, Bob, you want to talk about what?
I actually gave all those reports to you. I think we're probably talking about.
In terms of the work here in the wood epoxy, it's probably in the neighborhood of $700 to purchase those items to do that. When it comes to the log repairs and stuff, we still need an additional assessment so that we're doing the right thing there. So I don't have an answer on that. And again, the ventilation system, we're talking about that to see what we can do along with this. What he recommended was for gutters is copper, using copper, which is fairly expensive. So we need to take a look and see if we truly do need to do that or not. And, we need to have a further evaluation. As soon as we get the pricing on that, we'll get the material with you.
And the work so far is going to be.
The work so far, it was interesting. I walked over there 2 weeks ago, and I looked at that hole in that porch roof, and I just thought, well, we really need to stop that now because it's damaging 2 different logs at the same time. And I went upstairs in that crawl space, and back against the wall was 600 oak-shaped shingles just sitting there, hadn't been used yet. So we pulled them all down, counted them up, and looked at the shingles on the roof and said, yeah, we can do this. So we just went to town on that right away.
This is taking me 8 minutes to record.
So all that, there was no expense there.
I'm not kidding. This is taking me 8 minutes to record.
In fact, oak-shaped shingles are very high quality shingles.
How long did you think it was going to take?
Not that long, mate.
It was up when we did this.
No.
No.
Yes. Okay, so the question was, do we still need some donations, and what do you make the checks out to? So yes, we still need donations. Redbird Mission, all of the programs at Redbird Mission really rely on donations. That includes our school. We're not a public school. We rely on those charitable gifts that people sit down and write a check and send it in the mail. And that's how we continue to provide all the services that we do every day. So yes, we do need more donations. What happens when a donation comes in with either the line, the number line on a check, or the little note with it, or even if you do it online, you can specify that you want this for maintenance and repair of the Dillian National Cabin. When that happens, it goes into our system and we track it in like 2 different places. So at any point in time, we know exactly what's in there. We absolutely would more than appreciate. We'd be blessed to have some donations. It could be very, very helpful. Any
Carrie.
If you're thinking about making a donation today, that the purchase of the wood epoxy and the board care, personally, I would love to get that as soon as possible and get over to Gettown County, because again, that's something our staff can do. We don't have to hire a contractor, we can do it ourselves, and I would love to get that taken care of sooner than later, before winter gets here. So I'll stand on select money from anybody who wants to.
Yeah, you do that.
You got two questions back here.
Yes,
Is there a balance in what we've donated today?
there's a balance. There's been $2,400 that have been donated over the last 4 years. So that's gone into the repairs that we've done and the continual maintenance of the place, including fence replacement, things like that. So there's not a large balance at all.
I think that's a question we'd like answered. Is there $100 in the fund?
I would say there's no dollars in the fund.
That's what we need to know.
Yes.
Even though we get emails amongst us that ask for donations, I think it's important, even if we don't know what the long-run cost is going to be, that there's no money available today for continuing maintenance.
Correct. And we
You
do.
should emphasize that it's zero, and any giving is going to help.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that. Absolutely. Is there another?
Rep. Levy or Carrie?
That was my exact question. Was there a balance and what do we need to do now?
Yes, yes. I just had it called a couple of weeks ago to see where we were at with that. And they gave me a report and he showed me, what the donations had been over the last 4 years.
So now we need $1,400, $700 for the epoxy and $700 for the other one. So right now we need $1,400 this fall to get those things taken care of. That's, okay, that's what I understand you to say.
So anytime there's not funds in the actual account, then you're having to take that out of the mission
Correct,
to do it.
correct. We either find a work camp.
Yeah, if
that's
work campers do it, they pay
going to
for it.
sponsor Right, it's either
So it's
sponsored by
important
work.
to me.
Yes, yes, because most of those work camps, you gotta remember, we like to send them out to the community, a lot of folks here to make repairs in their homes. But sometimes we give them some assignments here on campus too.
And that's tax deductible donation?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
You make out a receipt for tax deduction?
yes. We'll send a letter. If you give us the information, we can send a letter for the tax deductible donation.
Okay, what, give a donation today, you can send it.
Yeah, you just need the information.
Okay, where you put that?
Wow.
Love in a bucket. You got a bucket? Let's pass it around.
I got pockets.
Is this a state historic site? And if so, do they dedicate any money to that?
It is a state historic site. No, there's no.
Yeah, have we went to them and
I
said,
would
hey,
say there
this,
is. Is Fran still here? Is Fran still here? Fran has got the history of this.
Apply for a grant.
Yes, we can apply for it. Yes. That's one of the things that we got.
well, why don't we do that? I mean, why don't we pursue that avenue?
You will? Absolutely. It's one of the recommendations that came from the poet that came a couple weeks ago. So yes, we will pursue that. There's a couple of different ways that you can go. Other Thank you all. Thank you so much. Sure.
Yeah, we have to get a receipt.
Mother.